Hey guys, hope all is well, hope you're doing fine, hope your families are all good. Again, it's become our new normal, but hopefully these lessons are helping. Hopefully you guys are doing well with everything else. So yesterday what we did was we worked with surface area of a cylinder, which was the outside since it's surface area. Today we're going to work with volume of a cylinder. And again, since we're talking about volume, we know that it's going to be everything that's inside, how much space would actually fit inside a cylinder, right? And it's a lot easier than what we did yesterday. So again, you're working with volume of a cylinder, how much a cylinder is going to end up holding. You got a cylinder, right there. Now again, whenever you're dealing with the cylinder, you know that you have the two bases that are circles, top and the bottom. And since you're dealing with circles, you know that the most important fact of a circle is the radius, right? So we have the radius of the cylinder. And just like we did when we did surface area, we have the height of the cylinder. So what you want to do for volume of a cylinder is think of a can. You want to figure out how much a can can actually hold on the inside. We're talking about volume, again, always the inside. And since we're talking about volume, we know that the formula for volume of a cylinder is always going to be pi r squared times h. And where that formula is coming from is this part right there, the pi r squared. That represents the area of one circle. Basically, if you had a circle, how much area is in it? Because we're talking about the inside. And since you look at a cylinder, don't think of it as one circle. Think of it as a bunch of circles all stacked up. So if you're thinking it is almost, there's the area of a circle, and it has so many circles stacked up, you would do basically the area of the circle, almost times how many circles are all stacked up. Almost think of it as along this visual. Basically just a bunch of circles all stacked up together, right? And that's how you actually find the volume of a cylinder. It's how many circles are basically stacked up times the area of one. So it would be area of one circle times the height. And just a little explanation of where it's all coming from. But the formula, it's just that, nothing else. Whenever you want to find the volume of a cylinder, you would do pi times r squared times height. That's it. Now let's try some. And again, simple lesson, very, very simple. Let's say that we have a cylinder. We have a cylinder. And let's make it look different. Sometimes you have shorter cylinders, sometimes you have taller cylinders, other times you have thinner ones, all that, all the same. And again, for the cylinder, you need a radius. So in this case, let's say that the radius is, let's say 3 inches, right? Let's say 3 inches. And let's say that the height is going to end up being 4 inches, right? So now, since we want to find the volume of the cylinder, we're going to use the formula for volume, right? And I'll separate it. Where we know that the formula for volume of a cylinder is pi r squared times h. So now, let's piece together what we know. We have the pi, which stays the same. So it's going to be pi times, we know that the radius in this case is 3. Right? So we have 3 squared. And then we know that the height in this case is 4, because that's our height. And it's nothing else other than that. Those are the only numbers we're substituting. We have pi times 3 as the radius squared times 4. Because again, 4 is the height and the radius is the 3. So now once we have this, the good thing is it's all next to each other. There are no addition signs, there's no subtraction signs, there's no division signs. So in the end, we're going to end up multiplying everything all together. But before we do that, since there's an exponent first, we have to do the exponent first, just for laws of operations. So again, whenever you see 3 squared, just remember, it's not 3 times 2. We know that 3 squared means 3 times 3. And 3 times 3 gives you 9. So again, we brought down the pi. We know that 3 times 3, 3 squared is 9. And then we'll bring down the 4 as well. So far all we did was 3 squared. 3 times 3 to give us 9. Once you have this, again, you can simplify it a little bit more. Yeah, you can multiply everything if you want at this point. I'm just going to multiply out the integers to make it easier for you. We know that 9 times 4 gives you 36. And let's not forget the pi right there, right? So again, all we did was 9 times 4 gave us 36. We had the pi there, so we ended up bringing it down. And whenever you see the pi, just, again, get in the habit, just for everything that's going on now, just use the decimal 3.14. So again, we're doing 36 times 3.14 there. And now once you go to actually multiply 36 times 3.14, let me grab the calculator. 36 times 3.14 gives us 113.04. Gives us 113.04. And again, let's not forget the notation. It's inches. And now since we're dealing with volume, whenever you're dealing with volume, it's always cubed. Always cubed. Which just means, again, you're dealing with 3 dimensions. It's the space that's inside. So again, whenever we're talking about volume of a cylinder, if we were to look at this cylinder, it can hold 113.04 inches cubed of anything inside. Again, volume is always what's inside. In this case, that's how much space would go inside of that cylinder. And let's try another one. Again, just don't forget, it's always going to be on your quizzes, always on your tests. Volume is how much is on the inside of a figure, and surface area is always how much is on the outside of the figure. And with all of these formulas, don't ever forget, guys, I'm always giving them out to you in terms of that document that I'm updating weekly for all the geometry formulas. Feel free to use the internet, feel free to Google, all of these resources to help you guys out. Just because, again, it is a weird situation that we're going through. But hopefully you're at least getting used to it. Hopefully it's getting better in terms of the classes. Let's just do one more example just so you guys can actually see that you get it perfectly. We have another circle. We have now a cylinder. And don't forget, whenever you're dealing with cylinders, it's a 3D shape, which means 3 dimensions, length, width, and height. Just sometimes it looks different. And we have here, we know that the radius, let's say that the radius is going to end up being 5 centimeters, right? And let's say that the height's going to end up being 12 centimeters. So we have this. So since we want to find the volume, same thing that we did before. We want to find the volume, so let's use the formula for volume of a cylinder. Formula for volume of a cylinder, always the same thing, pi r squared h. So now let's just substitute it. We know that we have pi, right? We know that the radius is 5. So we have 5 squared. And we know that the height is 12. Right? So again, all we did was just substitute. Pi is there. We know that the radius is 5. So we substituted 5 squared. And then we know that the height is 12. So we substituted 12. 12 is the height. Radius is 5, and then everything else. The pi stays the same, square stays the same. And before you start multiplying everything, let's just literally do the exponent first, because it always comes first. So the pi stays the same. We know that 5 squared means 5 times 5, and 5 times 5 gives us 25, right? So we have 25, we have the 12 from up here, and we have the pi. Everything stayed the same. Pi is the same, 12 is the same, and 5 times 5 is 25. Now, if you wanted to, again, you can multiply everything, or just end up multiplying the integers. So now we know that 25 times 12 is going to end up giving us 300, right? So again, 25 times 12 gives you 300, and let's not forget the pi right there. And now, once we have that, we can rewrite it to make it easier. 300 times 3.14. And now the last step we just have to do is just multiply those two numbers. So we can do 300. We can do 300 times 3.14 would come out to exactly 942. No decimal this time, just because the numbers just worked out that way. So we have 942. Let's not forget the centimeters. Centimeters. And then since we're dealing with volume, always remember, volume is always cubed. Again, if we're looking at this cylinder, we know that this cylinder would hold 942 centimeters cubed it would hold that much inside. Because again, volume is always what's on the inside of a figure, surface area is always what's on the outside of a figure. Again, surface area was how much was on the outside for this, which we did yesterday. Today we worked on how to figure out volume inside of a cylinder. Tomorrow we're gonna do practice of surface area and volume, so that way you guys are ready to do a short test on Thursday. Again, the test, it's just gonna be a combination of a prism and a cylinder, but we'll go over everything tomorrow, just so you guys know what's there. Hope you're all doing well. Hopefully your families are fine, guys. Take care. Stay safe.